There's a truth about money that contradicts everything you've been taught. The moment you stop chasing it, it begins to follow you. Not because the universe rewards inaction, but because desperation is the loudest signal you can send that you don't believe you're worthy of what you seek. And the energy of unworthiness? It repels the very thing you're running toward. You felt this, haven't you? That tension in your chest when you check your bank account. The anxiety that grips you when an opportunity doesn't materialize. The exhaustion of hustling, grinding, forcing doors open that seem determined to stay closed. You've been told that success belongs to those who work the hardest, who want it the most, who refuse to quit. And so you push, you chase, you reach with trembling hands toward a future that feels perpetually out of reach. But here's what no one tells you. The very act of chasing creates distance. Think about it. When you chase something, you're affirming that it's separate from you, that it's over there and you're over here, that you lack it. And lack is a frequency. It's a vibration that the universe reads like a language. When you operate from scarcity, from fear, from the desperate need to acquire what you don't have, you're broadcasting a message into the quantum field. I am empty. I am incomplete. I am not enough. And the universe, in its perfect mirror-like nature, reflects that message back to you, not to punish you, but because it responds to the energy you emit, not the words you speak. You can affirm abundance 1,000 times a day, but if underneath those affirmations is a clenched fist of fear, if your actions are soaked in desperation, the universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your frequency. This is where most people get stuck. They confuse action with alignment. They believe that doing more, working harder, sacrificing more of themselves will eventually tip the scales in their favor. And sometimes it does. Sometimes you can force outcomes through sheer willpower. But notice what happens. Notice the quality of what arrives. Notice how it feels. Is it ease, or is it exhaustion wearing the mask of success? There's a reason the ancient Stoics spoke of amor fati, the love of fate. Not passive resignation, but active acceptance of what is, coupled with purposeful action that doesn't cling to outcome. Marcus Aurelius understood that the more you grasp, the more you lose. The fighter who tenses every muscle tires quickly. The one who moves with fluid precision, who strikes only when aligned, who doesn't waste energy chasing what isn't meant to be caught. That's the one who wins. Money operates the same way. It's energy. It flows. And energy doesn't flow toward resistance. It flows toward receptivity, toward openness, toward people who have created internal space for it to land. Think of it like this. Imagine you're standing in a river, desperately trying to scoop water into your hands. The harder you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you cup your hands gently, if you allow the water to pool naturally, it stays, it gathers. Not because you forced it, because you created the conditions for it to rest. That's what happens when you stop chasing money. You stop being the person frantically scooping. You become the vessel, the open hand, the space where abundance naturally collects. But let's be clear, this isn't about doing nothing. This isn't about sitting on your couch visualizing checks while ignoring opportunities. This is about the energy behind your action. It's about moving from a place of alignment rather than anxiety. It's about working because you're inspired, not because you're terrified. It's about creating value because it lights you up, not because you're trying to manipulate an outcome. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that occur when your internal state aligns with external reality. When you stop chasing, when you settle into a frequency of worthiness and trust, the universe doesn't just respond. It orchestrates. Opportunities appear, connections materialize, money flows through channels you didn't even know existed. And here's the paradox. The moment you become okay without it, the moment you genuinely release the stranglehold of need, that's when it shows up. Not because you stopped wanting it, but because you stopped needing it to validate your existence. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and join a community of awakened souls walking the same journey of spiritual alignment. Most people spend their entire lives trapped in the illusion that external success will finally make them feel whole. They believe that once they have the money, the house, the freedom, then they'll relax, then they'll feel worthy, then they'll be enough. But it works the opposite way. You must feel whole first. You must embody the frequency of abundance before abundance has any reason to show up in your reality. This is where the spiritual meets the quantum. Modern physics tells us that reality is probability until observed, that particles exist in states of potential until consciousness collapses them into form. You are the observer. Your consciousness, your beliefs, your energetic signature determines which probabilities collapse into your lived experience. When you chase money from a place of lack, you're observing through the lens of scarcity. And the universe delivers more of what you're focusing on. More lack, more struggle, more reasons to chase. But when you shift your internal state, when you genuinely feel abundant regardless of your bank account, you collapse different probabilities. You magnetize different outcomes. There's a reason wealthy people often say money comes easier the more you have. It's not just about capital generating returns. It's about frequency. When you're not worried about money, when you're operating from overflow rather than drought, you make clearer decisions. You see opportunities that fear would have blinded you to. You take inspired action instead of desperate action, and inspired action always produces better results. Look at nature. The tree doesn't chase the sun. It roots itself, reaches upward, and allows photosynthesis to happen. The flower doesn't beg for bees. It blooms, and the bees come because that's the natural order. There's an intelligence to the universe that rewards alignment, not force. You've been taught to hustle, to grind, to prove yourself worthy through relentless effort. And there's value in discipline, in showing up, in developing skill. But there's a difference between purposeful creation and frantic compensation. One builds, the other depletes. When you're chasing money, you're operating from your survival brain. From the amygdala's fear response that evolved to keep you alive in a world of predators. But you don't live in that world anymore. Yet your nervous system still treats financial uncertainty like a physical threat, so you activate fight or flight. You become reactive. You make decisions from cortisol-soaked panic rather than calm clarity. And panic doesn't attract. It repels. People feel it. Opportunities sense it. The universe recognizes it as the frequency of someone who doesn't believe they're already provided for. Here's what changes everything. The moment you decide, not hope, not wish, but genuinely decide that you are taken care of, that the universe is abundant, that you are worthy of wealth simply because you exist, your entire reality begins to shift. Not overnight, necessarily, but incrementally, undeniably. You start noticing synchronicities. Someone mentions a book, and the next day an opportunity related to that book appears. You think about a person and they call. You need a solution, and seemingly out of nowhere, it arrives. This isn't magic. It's not even mystical in the supernatural sense. It's your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters reality, adjusting to your new frequency. You're literally seeing different aspects of the same reality because you're vibrating differently. When you stop chasing money, you start seeing where value can be created, where your unique gifts intersect with others' needs, where flow already exists, and you simply need to step into it. Because here's the truth. Money isn't created, it's circulated. It already exists in abundance. The only question is whether you're a node in that circulation or a blockage. And you become a blockage every time you operate from fear, from grasping, from the belief that there isn't enough. Because that energy makes you transactional. It makes you calculating. It makes you someone people can feel is only interested in extraction. And no one wants to be around that energy. No one wants to do business with that frequency. But when you relax into worthiness, when you give value freely, when you create because you're inspired rather than because you're desperate, you become magnetic. People want to be around you. Opportunities want to land in your lap. Money wants to flow through you because you're no longer holding it hostage with need. There's an ancient Taoist concept called Wu Wei, effortless action. Not inaction, but action that flows from alignment rather than force. The archer who's mastered their craft doesn't strain. They breathe, aim, and release. The arrow finds its target not through desperation, but through practiced ease. Your relationship with money is the same. Master your internal state, root into worthiness, release the desperation, and then move, create, offer value, but do it from overflow, not from lack. And watch what happens. You'll start to notice that the money you receive comes easier, that it arrives through unexpected channels, that opportunities you would have missed before suddenly become obvious. Not because the world changed, because you did. Because you stopped chasing and started attracting. And attraction isn't passive. It's the most powerful form of action. It's becoming so aligned with what you desire that you naturally draw it toward you. Like a magnet doesn't chase iron filings. It simply exists in its magnetic state, and the filings arrange themselves around its field. You are that magnet, but only when you stop pretending you're not. Only when you release the story that you're lacking, that you're behind, that you need to prove yourself worthy of abundance. You were born worthy. The universe doesn't require your resume. It doesn't need proof of your value. It simply responds to your frequency. So what does this look like practically? It means you still work, you still create, you still show up, but the energy changes. You're no longer working from fear of what happens if you don't. You're working from inspiration of what's possible when you do. You're no longer networking to extract value. You're connecting because collaboration excites you. You're no longer taking jobs you hate because you're desperate. You're making strategic choices that align with your vision, even if it means a temporary dip in income, because you trust that alignment always pays more than misalignment. It means when you're offered an opportunity, you don't jump at it from scarcity. You evaluate it from abundance. Does this serve my highest path? Does this align with who I'm becoming? Or is this just my fear trying to hedge its bets? It means you stop checking your bank account with anxiety and start viewing it as a neutral reflection of where energy is currently flowing, knowing that you have the power to shift that flow by shifting your frequency. It means you give generously, not from a place of trying to manipulate karmic returns, but because generosity is the frequency of abundance. And when you operate from that frequency consistently, the universe has no choice but to match it. This is the shift. From chasing to attracting. From forcing to allowing. From proving to embodying. And when you make that shift, you don't just change your financial reality. You change everything. Because the same principle applies to relationships, to health, to opportunity, to every single area of life. The moment you stop chasing what you think you need and start embodying what you already are, reality rearranges itself to reflect that truth back to you. Not always immediately. The universe doesn't work on your timeline, but always eventually, always inevitably. So stop running. Stop grasping. Stop white-knuckling your way toward a future that keeps slipping away. Instead, breathe. Root. Become the frequency of what you desire, not by pretending you already have it, but by genuinely knowing you're worthy of it, by trusting that the universe is abundant, by understanding that your job isn't to chase. Your job is to align. And when you align, everything you've been chasing suddenly turns around and finds you, not because you stopped wanting it, because you stopped needing it to complete you. And completion is magnetic. Wholeness is magnetic. Abundance recognizes itself. Money comes to those who don't chase it because those who don't chase it have already done the internal work. They've healed the scarcity wound. They've released the desperate energy. They've become the version of themselves that abundance naturally flows toward. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So stop trying to become worthy of money. You already are. Stop trying to prove yourself. You don't need to. Stop chasing what's already seeking you. Become still. Become open. Become aligned. And watch the universe rush to meet you exactly where you are. If this resonated with you, don't just scroll past, subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but for your own evolution. Every time you choose alignment over distraction, you're casting a vote for the version of yourself you're becoming. And that version, the one who attracts instead of chases, that version is already here, waiting for you to stop running long enough to recognize it. The universe is abundant. You are worthy. And the only thing standing between you and the wealth you desire is the belief that you need to chase it. Let that go. And watch what happens. Watch what arrives when you finally become still enough to receive it.